getting reimbursements for the mistakes that the platform makes. And honestly, this is huge. I know that on the Amazon side, we're getting back hundreds of thousands of dollars. And TikTok, with the amount of growing pains and mistakes and underutilization and manpower that they have, I guarantee you that the mistakes that they're making compared to Amazon is probably 10 times worse than the $1 trillion more established business. Awesome. We are back. I'm here with Clayton Atchinson. Today, we're going to go over something that is not being utilized enough or being done on TikTok Shop, which is something that is very popular on Amazon and has been being done for years, which is getting reimbursements for the mistakes that the platform makes. And honestly, this is huge. I know that on the Amazon side, we're getting back hundreds of thousands of dollars, and TikTok, with the amount of growing pains and mistakes and underutilization and manpower that they have, I guarantee you that the mistakes that they're making compared to Amazon is probably 10 times worse than the $1 trillion more established business. So here today, I got Clayton to kind of walk us through this new service. Welcome to the show, Clayton.
Hey, Eric. Hey, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely awesome. So I've been going to Prosper and been working beside you and with you for the last couple of years, and you've been doing many different things. Give me a little bit of background about you and how you got to this point in this new business that you have.
Yeah, thanks. So I guess it has been quite a few years we've known each other, huh? I've been in e-commerce since 2014. I've done everything from arbitrage to having my own private label. And then back in about, I guess it was 2020, 2021, I joined up with Carbon 6, and I think that's when our paths first crossed. I was one of the first 5 or 6 employees at Carbon 6, and I wore a bunch of different hats there. I was general manager at Pixelme, but in the very beginning, I did a lot of the training around how to build the tool, and then also talk and be able to speak to clients and talk to customers and ask what you need and show the problems that were going on with the Amazon side of the business. It was back in last year, so 2025, that we sold Carbon 6 to a public company for $200 million plus. I wasn't a majority owner, or I probably wouldn't be on this call, but it was a life-changing event for me. And then right after, me and my co-founder, Agassi Korkus, were looking at what might be next, and we saw the same problem on the TikTok side, right? Amazon side was quite competitive. It had been quite a mature business, and we didn't see anybody doing it on the TikTok side. So just about a year ago now, we started building out our software, and it's kind of like you said, it helps get money back for brands, for sellers that are losing inventory. Sometimes they don't even know about it. It's lost or damaged at the warehouse, and we can talk all about that in more detail, but yeah, now I'm the co-founder and CEO of CapTrack AI. So that's a little bit about my journey.
Awesome, awesome. Well, first of all, congratulations on the exit. I definitely know that there were some people in there, the majority, that definitely made out like a bandit, but nevertheless, you still got your share, and so life-changing. Congratulations. But let's get into the issue. So I know that we're an agency, and so we're actually using your service as kind of like not something that you should or maybe do. We're actually including it into our onboarding because it's so essential. But go ahead and tell us some of the stories that you were bringing up, to kind of the crazy mistakes, the double refunds, kind of go into what TikTok is doing wrong and how they should be held accountable.
Yeah, and like one thing I'll say is like TikTok is our biggest partner. So just off the jump, I don't think TikTok is purposefully doing this. I don't think Amazon was purposefully doing it. The machinations and the complications that come up with owning a worldwide global logistics network, they are There are plenty, to say the least. So I think that when TikTok does this, it's never like, bad TikTok, what are you doing? I think it's quite the opposite. I think they're really trying to do something that's good for the brand and good for the end consumer, which is compete on a large logistics scale, which brings down prices, right? If Amazon was the only shipper in town, that wouldn't be great. So thank God there's FedEx, thank God there's UPS, and now thank God there's Fulfilled by TikTok. But with that said, yeah, TikTok and Amazon both, they make mistakes. They lose inventory, and that they lose it both on the way in to the warehouse. So if you ship 1,000, and TikTok says, "Yep, we counted 950, we're all good to go." That's all they'll say. They'll be like, "We're good." And they're not going to say, hey, 50 you're missing, and we're going to give you a refund for those. There's a lot of processes there that have to go into place with showing proof of delivery, bill of lading, invoices, etc. And you need to know where to open up the case, because in TikTok, as you know, Eric, there's seller center, and then there's also fulfilled by TikTok, and the language and how you open that case matters. So there's a lot of expertise around it. None of it's like impossible or rocket science, but it's not fun. It's quite boring work, and so you have to put a lot of SOPs and process around it. But yeah, so the quick summary is what I would say is this. TikTok loses inventory when you send it in. So you send in 1,000, they get 950. Now let's say that 950 is in LA, and they want to spread it out across the country, which helps them meet their delivery times, right? So they say, let's send 310 to New York, 320 to Chicago, and 320 to Miami, right? That'll help us meet our delivery needs based on where the inventory is right now. Well, they might lose 10 on the way to New York and 15 on the way to Miami. So now we're down to 900, right? Like, and these numbers are just fake, exemplary numbers to keep math simple. But then it gets.
But there's some truth to that, though.
Yeah,
there's some truth to that, though.
100%. And then stuff gets damaged, right? Like maybe a guy with a forklift drives over 10 of your products or 15. So that can happen. And then let's say we ship the product to the consumer. Sometimes the consumer says the box was empty. Sometimes that's true. I think somebody at end consumer has gotten an empty box, but sometimes it's not true, right? And it's kind of hard to prove because you can take pictures of them on a porch. You can track the thing the whole way, but if they say the box was empty, that's a little more difficult to prove.
Yeah.
And so then the customer can get refunds on that. And then also we see customers, and sometimes I think they're doing it as a scam. Sometimes I think they're doing it because they don't know how TikTok works. Somebody gets an empty box and they open up 5 different cases because they didn't get the result they wanted the first time. Then they fall asleep, they wake up 24 hours later, and they've been refunded 5 times for one purchase. TikTok's not doing that on purpose. Like 5 people are looking at 5 different cases and they're like, oh yeah, the box was empty, we should refund this guy. Meanwhile, that's coming out of your pocket or your inventory. All along this way, there's a leakage, and it usually adds up to 1 to 2%. So the example I gave with missing 100 here and 50 there, that was too much. But if you do 1,000 products, you can expect to lose 10 to 20 somewhere along the way of that entire process.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I love TikTok as well, but I honestly don't think that they expect it to be the largest company in the world and have the growth that they did. And so it's Frankenstein. And I wish that they used Amazon as their model instead of, looks like they used Meta, which is a garbage platform. And so it's very Frankenstein. You've got the ad manager, you got the business center, you got TikTok, you got TikTok shop, then you got FBT. Everything has to be linked and all of this stuff. And as you start to dig into TikTok shop, when I'm meeting with my clients, they're all looking at the line items and the numbers, and nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. And so when you have very confusing numbers and reports, it makes it real easy for a reimbursement or something that should be owed to you to actually be even seen, which is why it's so important to have somebody that understands the reports.
Yeah, I'll say that. And this is where I'll give a big kudos to my team and all the people that are far more organized than myself, because it is a mess, man. We have people that on our team that their job right now all day long is to download reports. Like that is all they do all day long. Then we upload them into our system. That's if with some different accounts, like we can connect via API, right? We're approved on API, but even exactly what you're talking about, 10 out of 10 times in the USA, the API works perfectly. And I just got back from South Korea, that. We did one store after another store after another store, and then for some reason, one store just doesn't work. They're logged into the manager's store, everything's perfect, and for some reason, TikTok isn't accepting it. In those cases, we just have to download reports all day long, and then you have to have an AI system to be able to find the discrepancies. So You're right. It's not you log into TikTok or Seller Center, and it's like, here's all the discrepancies. They will show some on the missing inbound side, but these returns, they are hidden. There's 51 different case types that we've discovered. And so it's not glamorous work, it's not fun work, and that's why we take it off of the plates of a lot of our clients, because they want to grow their brand. They want to focus on advertising, on their new creators, like all the sexy part of growing the business. And the last thing they want to do is be going through these reports. So we take the boring stuff off of their plate. But you're right, Eric. It's It's a pain in the ass, to say the least. Yeah.
It is, and it's something that makes it so that when you're doing your P&Ls and different things, and you're like, why do my numbers not match? Sometimes it's because of being overcharged or refunds or issues with units, and because you're not actually getting a true P&L, because there's aspects of the business that requires an expertise to look at the line items and make sure that you're being compensated, but it requires documentation. I've been doing the Amazon side, the refunds, and we've gotten back hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I know that on TikTok, I know that they've got to be doing a worse job than Amazon. Nothing disrespectful to them, but they are the fastest growing company in the space. And honestly, just to give you an idea, until your brand is making 50K, you really don't even have support. They don't even have the bandwidth to give seller support until you hit 50K. So I can tell you that I know that they're improving with the American counterpart in January. Things are getting better every day, but they still don't have the manpower. So I think that this is pretty amazing and essential. Can you go ahead and show me how easy it is to sign up with you guys, what your systems are, and can you show me some examples of some money you got back?
Yeah, for sure. And I think you brought up, I just want to say one thing there. Really good point about like going through your P&Ls and numbers. Like all the time we'll tell people like, 1 to 2% of stuff goes missing. That sometimes can mean 10% of their overall profit. Some of these companies are working on 20% margins. So if you're losing 2% of your revenue, it's killer. But yeah,
Some people are
show you-
10%.
Yeah, I know. I try to, not over-explain the numbers, but yeah,
Yep.
you're exactly right, 100%. So if you're 10% and you lose 2% of your revenue, here's our website, CapTrack AI. We purposely try to make it as simple as possible. So you can see what we recover. You can click on resources and everything, but you can scroll up and down and it'll tell you what we do, how it works, which type of inventory we recover, how we get reimbursements, for you, and then frequently asked questions. We have a little explainer video here.
Yeah.
But if you want to get started, all you have to do is go to CapTrack AI and then literally click sign up or click free audit. At that point, you're going to enter in your email address, you're going to put in a password, and then the next step is it's going to ask you to connect via API. So CapTrack AI is an approved app on the TikTok App Store. You click connect. Then the last step is you give us a couple of permissions. So you have to, this is where it gets a little funky and a little like less sexy. You have to log into both Seller Center and to FBT. We have a checklist of which permissions we need in order to complete the free assessment. And then after you do that, within 24 hours, you'll have a free assessment, and we will break all of that down, which I'm not sure if now is a good time to show you that, but I can also show you what that looks like.
Yeah, go ahead. One thing I will say, in case, because I know it might not have been mentioned, but this is important to realize, it's only for the FBT side. So it is not if you're manually shipping. And that is an important thing to be aware of.
Super important, yes. And then another, like I should have said that earlier. I told Eric before the call, I'm just getting back from South Korea, still jet lagged, so brains are working on not 100%.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, let's go ahead and show the process, break it down as let's see what we're looking at. Cool.
Yeah, so this is an audit report that we done recently for our different brand. And
Yeah.
what I should say here is that this is only 60 days. Another really important thing is that with FBT, you can only go back 60 days. So anything that is 61 days or older is gone forever, and that's where we show here this money that's lost in the past 6 months. But
Wow.
That's the crappy part about this is that anything over 60 days, it's just gone forever. But this is what
Yeah.
an audit looks like. It'll have your brand name and your potential recovery, and that means any money that we found missing in the past 60 days. So for any listeners here, on this specific brand, we found $15,291. This audit was actually done yesterday. This account is signing up, which is great. And on this one, they have only returns and refunds on the free assessment. We found 493 different cases of returns and refunds with $15,000, 200 potentially claimable, and we have about a 95% win rate. So we're going to get close to 100% of that money. And then we tell them how much is expiring in the next 7 days. So if this company were to, kind of sit on their hands and not move quickly, they would lose $1,500 in the next 7 days. And over the past 6 months, and this company to be clear, just recently moved to FBT about three and a half months ago, which I think
That's
is what
crazy.
a ton of brands are doing. They've lost $25,000 in the past 6 months, but they weren't even doing FBT 6 months ago. In just the
Yeah.
past 60 days, they're going to lose about $15,000.
That's
So
crazy.
this is an example of one audit, and this one's a little strange, to be honest, and I can show you a different one.
What's strange about it?
What's strange about it is like this, usually we see some for missing inbound as well. And missing inbound is a whole nother like can of worms that we can get into if you want to. But TikTok continues to change the policy on what is required for missing inbound, how they reimburse, and most of the clients that we talk to, they have tried to get reimbursed when there's a discrepancy of 600, 700 units, but they fail to. TikTok keeps changing the goalpost, where with most things they just copy Amazon. Like half of their process is just whatever Amazon did, they already figured it out. Let's just do that. With this one, there's a lot of confusion inside the ranks, I believe. What should the process be to make sure that they're properly reimbursing these people, and TikTok isn't getting scammed, right?
Yeah.
Because same thing with Amazon. There are people out there that say, I sent 1,000, but you only got 500, when really they only sent 500. So
Yeah.
there is due process on both sides to make sure that neither side is screwed over.
Yeah, yeah. I did think that was pretty interesting. But I will say that in January, when they partnered with the American counterpart, they tried to make this push to get everybody onto FBT, and they realized that was going to be impossible. And so they
Yeah.
canceled the directive, which was pretty hilarious because people were freaking out because a lot of people are shipping from Amazon and haven't really made that transition. But they don't realize that TikTok makes a lot of its profit from the shipping. And so that's why they're pushing it. And if you fast forward a year, I guarantee you that a large percentage of sellers will be FBT. And I think that you'll start to see that kind of preferential thing that you see on Amazon. Like the conversion on Amazon from FBM to FBA is super significant. TikTok, not as much, but within a year, I feel like it will get there. I've been doing this for a long time, and I think that the refunds and getting back 1 to 2% is huge. So if I was a brand and I was doing, let's say I was doing 200,000 a month, what would you say that you probably would see in a 6 month period, and what would you think that you would be able to get back in the next 60 days?
Matt, let's say it's about $18,000 or $3,000 a month. So over to answer your 6 month question, like $200,000, right? 1% of that is 2,000. So one and a
Yeah.
half, we'll just split the difference between 1 and 2. That's $3,000 a month. So 18,000. Did I say 24? 3 times 6, 18,000 for a 6 month period, and $3,000 a month. That's the quick math. And Eric, if you don't mind, I'll go back to what you said. You're spot on.
Yeah.
This is what we were talking about in South Korea. Absolutely, all the companies that are moving to FBT are getting preferential treatment. I have this sheet that I keep in front of me to remind myself. It's like not going to like it with the virtual background, but this
Yeah.
is from TikTok. This is
Yeah.
from TikTok that I received at the LA event. They invested $50 million in rebates for anybody that will switch or grow their FBT. They say that they get a 40% increase in page views with a 15% increase in conversion. They're just taking the exact same playbook Amazon did.
Yeah.
They're saying Amazon makes a bunch of money on logistics. We want to make a bunch of money on logistics. Nobody's on logistics. How do we get people on logistics?
Yeah.
Well, if they want to sell, we're going to give them preferential treatment on the platform, and then they'll switch to FBT. That's exactly what they're doing. So they're putting money behind it, $50 million this year, and they're giving you better visibility so you get more sales.
Yeah.
They also say that it doesn't affect your seller fault cancellation rate. So you
Yeah.
have a higher SPS. It basically increases your SPS because now if TikTok cancels, that wasn't Eric's fault, right? We can't
Yeah.
blame Eric for that. So we're not going to hurt his SPS. Because
Yeah.
you have a higher shop performance score, more influencers want to work with you. It's a complete flywheel. Like the influencers look at SPSs before they agree to work with a company.
Yeah.
And all of this is being crafted and built by TikTok in a very clever way. I give them
Yeah.
props. It's smart. It's what Amazon did. And yeah, people that are moving to FBT are getting better treatment. But the problem is that there's leakage, and that's what CapTrack was built to fix.
Absolutely. They actually are applying even more leverage than that. So they have a something in the SPS called handling time, and they've made it the amount of time that it's almost ridiculous to do a customer service cycle. So you pretty much almost always have to do a refund if you're on the seller shipping side, and so the brand has no protection. So basically, if you're a customer, and I hope that you're not watching this, if you ask for a refund, probably 100% of the time you're going to get refunded regardless of the thing. And some customers know this, and sometimes they can get away with anything because the brands on the seller side that are not doing FBT have no protection, and they're actually held to some scrutiny with the handling time. As well as there's another thing, which is the instant messenger satisfaction, which is the customer is always right, which we know that they're not always right. And so you have to get 5 stars, and you have to give them a refund immediately regardless of how egregious their complaint is. And I think that is just more pushing that essentially eventually leads to FBT. So like you were saying, like if TikTok is late on shipping, the SPS doesn't matter. If all of these things that you would normally get dinged by, FBT kind of gives you that golden approval, and you're kind of good to go. And so I think that the transition is happening, but I do think that the estimation of effort from TikTok side is going to be far greater than they anticipated. They thought that flipping the switch in January, that was hilarious, but I think within a year you'll see about 80%. I think there'll be a big badge and different things like that that will make it so that not only does it make sense from a P&L standpoint and from a shop performance score, but you also get the preferential like FBA.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. We're working with like 8 of the top 20 biggest brands in the U.S. that are FBT, right? But even in those, because that's how we started our business. Like, let's start with the largest clients first. But as we were going through like the top 20, even like in January, we were like, man, out of the top 20, only like 4 of them are FBT. Well, that's like switched now. Now it's like nearly like only like 4 are not. I just got back from South Korea. Some of the biggest brands in the world are over there that are on TikTok. Dr. Malaxin, Medicube. Medicube is FBT in the UK, but not in the US.
Wow.
Rumor has it they're in negotiations. I don't know that. I've heard that secondhand. But now Dr. Malaxin just started selling an FBT in the US. And so like this is changing monthly. Like we looked at Dr. Malaxin just a couple months ago. We were like, oh, they're not a client that we could help. So we'll just move on down the road. Well, 2 months later, that's completely flip-flopped. So yeah, I'm seeing it live. And when we were in Korea, all these K-beauty brands, they're like, how do we get on FBT? What's the quickest way? Because they're all reading the writing on the wall. You're 100% right.
That's wild. I mean, just to throw out some numbers, I know Medicube's doing like close to 21 million last month. So that's, I mean, I hate to do that math, but that 1 to 2% is significant. So that's an easy no-brainer. And I know the people that manage them, and they told me that the ROI for their advertising, hate to throw it out there, is at a 2. So, but I do know that they're a hedge fund backed company, and I know that, so they're probably spending like $8 to $9 million in advertising, something crazy. So those percentage points make up a huge difference. But I know that they make it in the back end from Amazon because they're number 1 in beauty. They're probably doing 900 million a year, something ridiculous.
The guy that made it, I just learned all this because I was just in South Korea. I got back like 48 hours ago. He's a billionaire, and apparently over there, like if you make a K-beauty brand and you become a billionaire, you're like a borderline celebrity. Like not everybody knows who made like Mary Ruth's or even like Tarte or whatever cosmetic there in the U.S. But in South Korea, they like worship the guy. And so he's like, they're like following him when he buys a new penthouse. There's like news articles all over the place. And, if he takes a vacation here or there, it's kind of like an actor over here. But yeah, they're doing really, anyway, that's a side note. But yeah, they're doing really, really well. And what TikTok is doing really, really well is they're getting the biggest companies now. They're saying, hey, we grew up, we're better at logistics now. We know you've heard horror stories from a year ago. We've really got our stuff in better shape. And they're going to continue to improve, right? It's not perfect. That's why my business exists. But they're going to get the bigger companies, and then all the medium companies and the smaller companies are going to say, how do I become a Medicube? How do I become a Dr. Malaxin? How do I become a Tarte? And the answer is they're going to say, well, they're using FBT. They're getting preferential treatment, and TikTok has this $50 million they're giving away, so maybe we should be FBT too. And that's how it happens, right? Everybody looks up and says, I want to be them. What are they doing? I'm going to copy their playbook. And so you're exactly right. We fast forward a year from now, and I'm not going to have to be like telling people why they should be using FBT. They're going to be like, yeah, I use FBT. Of course I use FBT. Well, what service do you offer? That's kind of like what happened with Amazon. It's the same cycle repeating itself.
Yeah, I think that also you're going to start to probably see that the performance will be weighted towards FBT. The badge will be bigger on the page. And because when we first started doing this a couple of years ago, the spillover to Amazon was greater just due to the lack of trust in the platform. But I think that it'll probably become less, and FBT will become more trustworthy, and the weighted visibility will be more, and it'll be a huge improvement in conversion. One thing that I wanted to say that didn't get mentioned was the fact that you don't have a retainer. So the way that you get paid is performance based, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So there's no monthly fee. There's a free assessment up front. And I was talking to a brand late last night actually, and really smart, intelligent woman, and she said, "Could I have a free trial for a month to see if the service is good?" I said, "Well, if the service isn't good, you won't pay anyways." So you only pay a percentage of anything that is successfully recovered, and TikTok pays the brand directly to their
Yeah.
seller center. And then the following month, we bill whatever percentage that we agree on, which it starts at 25%. We have people sign up on our website without ever contacting us all the time. And those people start at 25%. If you're a bigger brand, then we can sit down and talk about contracts and maybe bring that percentage down a little bit. But that's how we work. Yeah, no money up front, only pay if you get paid, and you get paid and you pay the following month. And
That's amazing.
one other thing I forgot to mention is that a lot of people, like different places I'll go and I'll speak on stage or whatever, people will say, "Doesn't FBT or TikTok already automatically reimburse returns?" And the answer is yes. If like everything is cookie cutter as it possibly could be, they automatically reimburse usually within minutes of a return if it fits all of this criteria. But we're seeing that they're refunding about 1 in 4 of what they should be doing. So we don't take any responsibility if they automatically reimburse it. But they usually do it within minutes of that return taking place. But anything that drags on past a week and you haven't been automatically refunded, you can almost guarantee that you won't be. And then that 60-day window, it's not 60 days from the day that the return was created. It's 60 days from the day the order was created. So if somebody like on the 29th day decides they want to return it, then they take their sweet time shipping it back. Like, it sometimes only leaves a week or two to find that case, file that case, or that money's gone forever. But yeah, if anybody's out there thinking, "Oh, we don't even have this problem," because I get an email once a day saying we got an automatic reimbursement, I would say very much it is worth your time to get a free assessment. And if TikTok indeed is not making any mistakes, then we'll tell you. We'll say there's nothing here to go get. But that never happens. That never happens.
Yeah, honestly, to me, it's kind of an essential service. TikTok's doing a great job at everything that they're doing, but there are things that are being missed. I can tell you on every aspect of TikTok, there is things being established. There's changes happening every day. I stare at the platform 8 hours a day, and I'll log in. Something's changed. Something's changed. They changed something with leadership in the Lark group. Your account manager is changing. So like internally, TikTok is going through a lot of growing pains and changes. And so I know personally by looking at the reports, having somebody just double check the math just kind of makes sense, especially if it costs nothing. It's kind of a no-brainer. So I'm onboarding every client that I have to the service to kind of get back some of them P&L points so that I can use them for the affiliates. So I think it's an absolute no-brainer. And so if I wanted to do this, I just go into the website, click free audit. I add my master account, basically sign up for the app. It's an approved app. And then I have to add a user permission through FBT. Is that pretty much the simplicity of it?
Yep, FBT and Seller Center. Connect
Seller Center.
API. Connect. Give a couple permissions on FBT and Seller Center. Like, I've walked people through it so many times that I could do the entire process in, I think, 3 minutes, maybe 4.
Wow.
But most people, it takes, it's their first time doing it. It takes 7 or 8 minutes. And then, yeah, within 24 hours or business hours, we'll get you a free assessment. We've had a couple people sign up on Friday, and they're like, "Let's have a meeting on Saturday." And I've done them, but we prefer to take it Monday through Friday.
One question about that order window. So let's say it's 60 days ago. If you file it on the 59th day, it counts as long as the case is filed? Does it kind of lengthen the time?
Yeah. As long as you get the case submitted in time, and then That's another pain. Like, and honestly, I don't want to get into too many details, but TikTok will close and say resolved. It'll say resolved, but they'll like decide against you. In that case, you have to reopen the case and say, this is in reference to this original case file that was closed, that shouldn't have been closed. With returns and refunds, we have a pretty streamlined process. In most cases, we win on the first time, sometimes the second, but on miss and inbound, it's much more of a burden. That's where you sometimes have to open up a case 3 or 4 times, and we have to escalate it and say, hey, we've supplied all the information here, and we're still getting told no. That's the most frustrating. The miss and inbound is by far the most frustrating, and I'm working with the highest levels inside of FBT to try to get that process more transparent, which will help all sellers. So if you want to submit them even yourself, I'm just trying to get it more clear and transparent, and it's in TikTok's favor too, right? Like, if people are using Amazon, and we have a sister company that can help with the Amazon reimbursements, the Carbon 6 company I used to work at. But yeah, the truth is that it's a burden right now, but it shouldn't be. And if TikTok really does want to build out this FBT program, which I know that they do, they need to have parity with Amazon and these other huge marketplaces like Walmart. If you can't just tell a customer, hey, 1,000 products went missing, and there's no way that we miscounted, right? Like, that's what some people are getting back from the customer service is, well, you must have miscounted. There's no way we miscounted. But that's not how Amazon works. It's not how Walmart works. And I'm working with the FBT team, and they're aware of that. They're really smart people over there. And so it's just it's a ever-changing system and software, but they're figuring it out. They're figuring it out. So we're making progress.
Awesome, awesome. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming to the show, and I'd like to say if anybody is not using this service, I think that is in your best interest to just go see how much money could be left on the table. Go check them out at CapTrack AI. Thank you very much, Clayton.
Thank you, Eric, and love to come back anytime. And if anybody's interested, just like Eric said, go to the website, and we're happy to help you.
Thank you for watching. I am a team lead at Bullseye Sellers. I've been in the Amazon and TikTok space for over 10 years, and I've worked with over 100 brands, helping them generate over 100 million in sales. On this channel, I'm going to share real strategies and growth hacks to help you scale your Amazon brand and TikTok shop. If you would like help, please book a free strategy call with our team. A calendar link will be in the description, as well as please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.